Deadly attacks continue between Israel and Hamas. Israel stepped up its attacks on Gaza Strip, flattening a high-rise building used by the Hamas militant group and killing at least 3 militants at their hideouts on Tuesday, as Palestinian rockets rained down almost non-stop on parts of Israel. It was the heaviest fighting between the bitter enemies since 2014 and it showed no signs of slowing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to expand the offensive, while Gaza militants unleashed a fierce late-night barrage of rockets that set off air raid sirens and explosions throughout the densely populated Tel Aviv metropolitan area. Just after daybreak Wednesday, Israel unleashed dozens of airstrikes in the course of few minutes, targeting police and security installations, witnesses said. A wall of dark grey smoke rose over Gaza City. Elad al-Hojom, a spokesman of the Hamas-run Interior Ministry, said airstrikes destroyed the Central Police headquarters in Gaza City, a compound with several buildings. 5 Israelis, including 3 women and a child, were killed by rocket fire Tuesday and early Wednesday, and dozens of people wounded. The death toll in Gaza rose to 35 Palestinians, including 10 children, according to the health ministry. Over 200 people were wounded. In the West Bank, meanwhile, 26-year-old Palestinian was killed during clashes with the Israeli troops that entered Al-Farwar refugee camp in the southern Hebron, the ministry said. In another sign of widening unrest, demonstrations erupted in Arab communities across Israel where protesters set dozens of vehicles on fire in confrontation with police. The fighting between Israel and Hamas was the most intense since 50-day war in the summer of 2014. In just over 24 hours, the current round of violence sparked by religious tensions in the contested city of Jerusalem increasing resembled that devastating war. The bombs of Israel airstrikes and hisses of outgoing rocket fire could be heard in Gaza throughout the day, and large plumes of smoke from targeted buildings rose into the air. Israel resumed a police airstrike aimed at killing wanted militants and began to take down entire buildings, a tactic that drew heavy international criticism in 2014. In Israel, the non-stop barrages of rockets fired left long streaks of white smokes in the wake while the explosion of anti-rocket interceptor boomed overhead. Air raid sirens walled throughout the city, sending panicked residents scurrying for cover. In a nationally televised address, Netanyahu said that the Hamas and the smaller Islamic Jihad militant groups have paid, and I tell you here, will pay a heavy price for their aggression. He claimed that Israel had killed dozens of militants and inflicted heavy damage on hundreds of targets. This campaigning will take time, he said. With determination, unity, and strength, we will restore security to the citizens of Israel. He stood alongside Defense Minister Benny, a political rival, in a show of unity. There are lots of targets lined up. This is only the beginning, Gantz said. The military said it was activating some 5,000 reservists and sending troops reinforcement to the Gaza border. The current violence has coincided with the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan, a time of heightened religious sentiments. Critics say heavy-handed Israeli police measures in and around Jerusalem Old City helped stoke nightly unrest. Another flashpoint has been seen in East Jerusalem neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah, where dozens of Palestinians were under threat of eviction by Jewish settlers. Confrontations erupted last weekend at Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, which is the third holiest site in Islam and the holiest site in Judaism. Over 4 days, Israel police fired gas and stun grenades at Palestinians in the compound who hurled stones and chairs at the forces. At times, police fired stun grenades in the carpeted mosque. On Monday evening, Hamas began firing rockets from Gaza. From there on, escalation was rapid. In a televised address, Hamas exiled leader Ismail Haniyeh said Israel bore responsibility. It is the Israel occupation that set Jerusalem on fire, and the flames reached Gaza, he said. Palestinian health officials gave no breakdown on the death toll in Gaza, but Islamic Jihad confirmed that senior commanders were killed in a strike of the hideout in Gaza City apartment building. The health ministry said 10 children and a woman were also killed. Netanyahu said Israel had attacked hundreds of targets. The fiercest attack was a set of airstrikes that brought down an entire 12-story building. The building housed important Hamas office as well as gym and some startup businesses. Israel fired a series of warning shots before demolishing the building, allowing people to flee, and there was no casualties. Israeli aircraft had heavily damaged another Gaza City building early Wednesday. A 9-story structure housed residential apartment, medical companies, and a dental clinic. The drone fired 5 warning rockets before the bombing. Israel said the building housed Hamas intelligence office and group command responsible for planning attacks on Israel targets in the occupied West Bank. Fighter jets struck the building again after journalists and rescuers had gathered around. There was no immediate worth of casualties. The high rise to 200 meters away from the Associated Press Bureau in Gaza City, and smoke and debris reached the office. Thank you.